Hello, everyone, and welcome. My name is India Benson, and I am the program manager at GlobeMed headquarters. I use the pronouns she, her, and hers, and I will be co-facilitating this space today with Sarah, who I will let introduce herself.
Hi, everyone. I'm Sarah. I am GlobeMed's Community and Impact Fellow, and my pronouns are she, her, hers. I am also super excited for this kickoff.
So yes, we are so excited to welcome you to our GROW Kickoff and Orientation session. We want to thank each and every one of you for attending this kickoff and for being here with us tonight. Partnership is so crucial to what we do here at GlobeMed, so your desire to dig deeper by participating in GROW is just amazing to see.
Okay, so for those of you who are familiar with our programs and events, you may recognize the Brave Space agreements. We use these to make sure that throughout every program that HQ shares, we agree to be humble learners and uphold respect for each other. GlobeMed adapted these agreements from the hashtag Let Us Breathe Collective and Showing Up for Racial Justice Chicago. I'd like to read these agreements out loud before moving forward with the kickoff. So here we go. By entering the space, we are agreeing to love, forgive, and take care of ourselves. We are agreeing to love others and build an inclusive community. We are agreeing to be accountable for what we do and say. And we are agreeing to be thoughtful about choosing when we listen instead of speak. We are also agreeing to struggle against racism, sexism, ageism, homophobia, transphobia, ableism, classism, misogyny, shame, and other harmful systems. And we agree to struggle against those systems if they've been internalized when they show up in our thoughts and behaviors. We are agreeing to handle conflicts with love and respect and resolve them through facilitated dialogue. And finally, we're agreeing that we each have gifts and that they bring value to this space, and that we give ourselves the permission to receive the gifts that the space offers us. Why are these important, especially for GROW? Every single one of these agreements applies to the solidarity that we receive from our wonderful, wonderful partners, and they represent the promises that GROW team members make when preparing for the GROW experience. So by participating in the kickoff today and in the GROW experience ahead, we're all agreeing to uphold these promises with each other. We are going to move on to talking about the purpose of this space, why we're having this kickoff. So the reason we're all here today is to make sure everyone is on the same page for the 2021 virtual GROW experience. First, we want to make sure that we take some time to discuss the concept of solidarity, what that means in our anti-oppressive partnership model, and how that applies to you as a GROW participant. Then we additionally want everyone to be aware of and ready to make the formal preparations needed for your GROW experiences. And we also want to make sure everyone is 100% clear on the 3 goals of this year's GROW experience. We hope to do that with some of your own stories in partnership later on. So that will be fun. That's what I'm looking forward to in this kickoff. And equally important to us at HQ is this. We hope that from this space today, everyone here feels comfortable reaching out to HQ staff throughout your training process and during the GROW experience. We know we all possess so much energy around partnership, and we want to be as helpful as we can for everyone involved. So with that, I'm going to pass it to India, who is going to ground us in the concept of solidarity and how we practice that at GlobeMed.
Thank you, Sarah. So really, the goal of this part of our program is to deepen our understanding of solidarity, anti-oppressive partnership, and GROW by viewing anti-oppressive partnership through the lens of solidarity. So we talk a lot about anti-oppressive partnership at GlobeMed. We envision and strive to sustain partnerships that are equitable, transparent, and grounded in relationships and friendships. But anti-oppression is not just a state of being. It's an ongoing practice that we do. We can go through periods where we uphold anti-oppressive practices and other times where we do not. So before this GROW Kickoff session tonight, our student learners completed a GROW module to 1, deepen their understanding of anti-oppression in the global health field, and 2, interrogate their own partnership practices. So we're going to take some time to share our learnings in a breakout room with the hope that we can spark new ideas for our fellow GLOMED members and continue to, of course, grow together. So partners, we're going to place you among the different student groups to listen and guide where needed. So in this breakout room, you're going to share your biggest takeaway from your team's discussion and share one specific practice your team is putting in place to make your partnership/GROW experience more equitable. So as you can see in the chat, Sachika shared a Google Doc with instructions. So please click the link before joining your breakout room. You will be in very small groups with about 3 to 4 people. I believe you should be in the same group as in your community builder. So just continuing to make those connections. And you'll have about 8 minutes to share with one another before we come back. So welcome back. I hope you had a wonderful conversation with your small group. And we captured the biggest takeaways in the shared Google Doc. So we will be happy to share that after this event. And now I want to dig deeper into one of the most important underlying beliefs that shapes our partnerships. So at GLOMED, we do not work with our grassroots partners because they need us, but because they have invited us to work alongside them in solidarity for global health equity. So let's unpack that together. So what does it mean when we think we are needed? And what does it mean to be invited? Take this time to raise your hand. You can use the raise hand feature to answer one or both of these questions. And you can also feel free to use the chat as well if you want to take a stab at answering these questions. Yes, Samantha, go ahead.
I think a big part of being needed is also being wanted. The places that we're partnering with have been, doing fine with or without GLOMED. And so the fact that we're going there, you have to recognize that it's also an opportunity for us. And also the fact that that GLOMED gets to be like the organization with the resources, with the technology, with the power, I guess, is not necessarily due to our ability or a nature of deserving it. It's due to historical context, social context, where we were born, where you get to go to college. So acknowledging not only that we're wanted, not needed, but also the fact that we're wanted, while that may mean you're a good person or a smart person, doesn't mean that you're inherently XYZ compared to your partner.
Thank you, Samantha. And really honing in on that wanted piece. Again, we're being invited into our partner communities. But yeah, I like what you mentioned there. Again, hinting at the resources. Again, not inherently because someone is better than another person, but because, again, that historical context. And I know everyone had an opportunity to dive into some of the history, particularly of colonization in our GROW module before this event. So yes, thank you. Does anyone want to add to what Samantha was saying? Yes, Morgan.
I think these two questions speak a lot to like the mindsets that you might have versus what you need to have. Whenever you feel needed, you feel like you have to overcompensate to help the person that you think needs you. And that can be really detrimental to like your relationship and what you're doing for that person versus like being invited. There's boundaries that come with that you don't cross. and you make sure that you're attentive, but you also are like listening to what like the other person who invited you there is saying. And I think that that's pretty important to like have a distinction between those two going forward.
Yes, definitely. I love the word you use, that mindset, because it is a different mindset between being needed into a space and walking in and thinking that you need to lead project X, Y, or Z, as opposed to being invited to say like, hey, we're going to work together. Um, I don't want to give it away, but working together in solidarity. And that means like, again, like jointly coming together in a community mindset, as opposed to, oh, I'm going to lead this or you're going to lead this. So yeah, thank you. Thank you, Morgan and Samantha. Would anyone else like to make any reflections on these two questions? Yes, Neil.
Hi, yeah, I just wanted to kind of go off of what Morgan was saying in regards to like the whole mindset of how we're entering into these spaces. To me, when I'm thinking of anti-oppressive practices, it's really, I think, transferring our power or using like the inherent privilege that we have as a chapter organization. And I think not abusing our power, but really kind of placing it in the hands of the local communities, because ultimately they know their needs best. And I think when we go into the mindset that we are needed, ultimately the power is in our hands, because we're walking in thinking they can't possibly survive without us, or they really need us to really accomplish these projects. And there's no transfer of power. We're really kind of still holding it. But then if it's like we're invited, I think like you were mentioning, it's more like collaborative, and it's like kind of shifting our privilege towards our partner organizations and local communities. And I just think it's ultimately a more beneficial mode of thinking.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and what you stated about, again, having that mindset, if you're needed, like going in thinking like you need to be the one to change things, having that savior mindset is not what we want to do in our partnerships. But again, instead, be invited into those spaces to be collaborative and working with our partners. And you mentioned too, again, about like learning from our partners and like letting them take the lead, which is what we believe here at GlobeMed. Like our partners are the experts, and we're being invited into their community for them to, again, tell us like what their community needs, and for us to work together, again, towards the common goal of global health equity. Thank you all for all of these amazing responses and being brave in this moment and speaking out. I really enjoyed hearing from all of you, Samantha, Neil, and Morgan. So yes, this core belief, recognizing the inherent brilliance that exists in our partner communities and their autonomy to invite us to walk alongside them, is central to our understanding of solidarity. And as Stephanie from PopWorks Africa reminded us in her session at Leadership Institute, they won't always or invite us. So what is solidarity? So is anyone here willing to share your understanding of what you believe solidarity means? And again, feel free to raise your hand. And I also have the chat open if you want to put some reflections there as well. Yes, Lydia?
Yeah, I think it's just kind of in terms of this being on hand whenever our partner needs us and for whatever they want us to do, because on one day they could need one thing and on another day they could need another thing. And I think it's easy to go into like a partnership with preconceived ideas of, oh, I want to do this for you, I want to do this for you, but in reality they need very specific things. And I think solidarity is just like really being there for them however and whenever they need it.
Yeah, I really like that piece about, again, like listening to our partners and really honoring their expertise, right? They know what their community needs. Ashley, I see your hand is raised.
Well, solidarity for me has a very long-term type of component to it where we're working in the way that we're forming our partnerships. It's not something that, say, a group of students does for a summer or for a spring break trip. It's something that we establish for years in a very laid out process that's collaborative from both sides. And we're coming together at the table and figuring out like, okay, like what are the projects we're doing together? How are we going to work together to make these things happen? And being there for each other in the tough times, especially with COVID. This is the time when solidarity is perhaps like one of the most important times when solidarity is needed, for us to be there with our partners and work together to meet whatever needs their community has.
Yes, I like how you emphasize the importance. Again, it's not just like going on the road during the summer and then that's it. It's this long-term partnership piece where we're all working together on a long-term basis. Thank you for just highlighting that piece and the importance of it. I see we have some comments in the chat. Noah said, the ability for people to overlook differences and stand together for a common goal. Mm-hmm. And then Sydney said, solidarity can be thought of as unity in the face of adversity. Oh yes, I like both of those comments. Again, realizing that working together towards a common goal is going to be able to get us there. Yeah, in a unique way. Would anyone else like to make a comment or reflection on solidarity? All right. Well, thank you all for sharing, and we will continue on. So when I think about working in solidarity for global health equity, I think about how our lives are intertwined and how our own health is deeply connected to the health of other people near and far. Just look at our past year living through a global pandemic, COVID, which was mentioned. So I think about the quote by artist and activist Leela Watson. If you have come here to help me, you're wasting your time. But if you have come because your liberation is bound up with mine, then let us work together. Our experiences are different, yet deeply rooted in the same harmful systems, including colonialism, racism, sexism, ageism, homophobia, transphobia, ableism, classism, misogyny, and shame. I believe that in order to truly walk alongside each other, we must use a critical analysis to understand and acknowledge these systems of oppression and commit to transforming them together. And in the context of GlobeMed, solidarity is rooted in our interdependence and co-liberation. So what this very tangibly looks like includes one, honoring our grassroots partners' deep knowledge and expertise and following their guidance, which one of our students mentioned earlier. Two, valuing deep relationship building and being in community together as much as the work, which again, another student mentioned. Relationships isn't just happening at GROW, it's happening over a long period of time. And three, as Chicago Freedom School stated at Leadership Institute, it involves moving from allyship to truly working together by actively listening with respect, building trust through consent and accountability, and acting to challenge systems of oppression by blocking or impeding people, policies, and structures. So moving from allyship to being a co-conspirator. That's what the Chicago Freedom School coined that term, the co-conspirator. So partners' solidarity with us allow us to show up in solidarity with them. But what does this look like in practice? So in 2014, GlobeMed HQ hosted a partner forum in East Africa with 24 of our grassroots health partners from Ghana, Togo, Cameroon, Uganda, Rwanda, and Kenya. Together and led by our partners' voices in response to the question, how would the global development work in an ideal world? We developed GlobeMed's leadership practices. Our leadership practices are how we practice solidarity because they were developed by our grassroots partners in their vision of what solidarity in action should look like. And they continue to guide our work today. So of course, I know you're familiar with these. They are dig deep, see possibility, grow together, be brave, follow through, build sustainably, and stay authentic. So we're going to walk through each of our leadership practices and their definitions. And so as we do so, I want you to consider some of these questions as you reflect on your own GlobeMed partnership. So how have you, or could you, individually uphold these leadership practices? How have you seen your chapter as a collective uphold these leadership practices? How have you seen your partner organization and community uphold these leadership practices? Alternatively, how have you seen people involved within the partnership not uphold these practices through their actions and behaviors? So again, we're going to walk through one by one leadership practices, and at the end, we're going to collectively reflect together. So first off, we're going to start with dig deep. May I have someone read the definition of dig deep? And you can raise your hand if you would like to read. Yes, Samantha.
Dig deep. To cultivate wisdom, we approach ourselves, our communities, and the world with openness and curiosity. How do we practice digging deep in partnership?
Thank you, Samantha. Now we're going to move to see possibility. Can I get another volunteer? Yes, Lindsay.
In all people and situations, we see the ability to learn, connect, and contribute to positive change. How do we practice seeing possibility in partnership?
Thank you, Lindsay. Now for grow together. May I get a volunteer? Oh, yes, Lindsay. Or
sorry, I was trying to like unraise my hand, but I think someone else raised their hand.
Oh, okay, you're good. Yes, Shree.
Okay. We accompany each other, cultivating an inclusive global community that inspires, challenges, and sustains us. How do we practice growing together in partnership?
Thank you, Shree. Now for be brave. Yes, Noah.
We put mission in front of ego and fear, doing what it takes to make the change the world needs. How do we practice being brave in partnership?
Thank you, Noah. Now for follow through. Yes, Brendan.
We keep our promises and act with the high levels of integrity and accountability. How do we practice following through in partnership?
Thank you, Brendan. Now for build sustainably. Christopher.
To truly thrive in the long term, we act both to meet the needs of the present and to build towards a future vision beyond ourselves. How do we practice building sustainably in partnership?
Thank you, Christopher. And finally, stay authentic. Yes, Upshar.
We let ourselves be known, remaining grounded and humble, even as we aim for the boldest vision. How do we practice staying authentic in partnership?
Thank you, Upshar. And yes, that was our final one. Thank you, everyone, for being brave in that moment and reading our definitions. So as you listened to the leadership practices read out loud, did any specific examples come to mind? So how are you already putting solidarity into action by upholding these leadership practices in your partnership? And so feel free to raise your hand if you have some reflections from the leadership practices. Shara, I see your hand still raised. I want to make sure I'm not overlooking you in case you have reflections. Oh, okay. Queena?
Yeah, for our chapter, one thing we do is we have Blackly video calls with the director of our partner organization that we invite our general members as well as our e-board to, which fosters, like it gets people more invested when they have that opportunity to actually interact with the people we're partnered with.
Yes, thank you for sharing that. That connection with general body members, connecting with the partner is so crucial and important. And I really think that hence at Grow Together, again, knowing that we're all working in unison. Yes. Apshara, I see your hand raised.
Sorry, that was like a technical issue before. But
okay.
Growing together, our partner in Cambodia and us have a time difference, and like just coming together and like making sure we are not like staying too late or having them wake up too early, and having a time that fits for all of us to meet.
Yes, thank you for sharing that. Again, yeah, like the growing together piece, working together, and also that staying authentic. I think that also is evident in the example that you shared. Again, coming as you are students, the partner coming as they are, and again, being considerate of time zones and yeah, working together. To make sure that it's convenient for the both of you. All right. Would anyone else like to share a final one before we move on? And again, also feel free to use the chat. Yes, Matthew.
Hey, so I wanted to talk briefly about following through with the University of Cincinnati's partnership with Social Action for Children and Women. I think we follow through virtually in terms of the calls that we schedule with them, whether it's for monthly updates or just to assist with the needs that they have at the moment. And when they express those to us, being willing to adapt and organize meetings and then following through with them, I think is a strength of our partnership. So I'm excited to see what virtual grow will look like. I've been saying that because we have the intentionality to, to plan it and then to also follow through with it in the year that follows.
Thank you, Matthew. Yeah, that's a very a very important one. The follow through piece, being able to show up time and time again and be consistent with that. Yeah, it's a way that we can act in solidarity with our partners. Ajit.
Yeah, to build off what Matthew said, he's a great example of this. But Matthew isn't even a grow intern this year. He was our last remaining traditional grow intern. He's really shown like a commitment to follow through even after his grow internship, and helped us really maintain that connection with our partners. So that's something I think all of us in our grow team especially hope to carry on even after a GROW internship.
Yeah, that is wonderful to hear. And I hope everyone who is here tonight, like I haven't heard from everyone. I've only heard from a few of you, but I know you're excited to work with your partners and excited about GROW. And I just hope you keep that like as you continue on in your college careers, and hopefully continue on with Globe Med, and share that with the students. The other students who's going to be interested in GROW next year and the year after that, because that piece to be able to bring what you learn from GROW back to the chapter, and being able to like help your chapter as a whole collectively follow through on the commitments that you make with your partner is amazing, and I'm so glad to hear that UCincinnati has been able to do that. And that Matthew is an example as someone to look up to for their chapter. So thank you. So since a big part of our GROW preparation consists of each and every one of you participating to co-create a virtual GROW experience, we wanted to design this GROW preparation experience with the end in mind. So thinking about what does success look like at the end of our GROW experience? It is easy to get wrapped up in logistics and prioritize outcomes of the experience over the process we take together. But for more than a decade of partnership experience, we know that prioritizing, aligning our relationships and actions with these leadership practices will lead to 1, stronger, sustained Globe Med partnerships in the long run, and 2, practice of our 3 GROW goals. In other words, more important than what we accomplish together through GROW this year is how we go about accomplishing it. So with that in mind, we choose to evaluate the success of our GROW experiences based on the implementation of our 3 GROW goals. 1, to build strong relationships in order to strengthen all aspects of the partnership. 2, to engage in mutual learning through the collaboration on community-centered projects. And 3, to collectively reflect on the strengths and areas of growth from the previous year of partnership and set goals for the upcoming year through the development of a new annual action framework. And remember to keep in mind that a partnership that has been around for 1 year might have different needs in the relationship building goal than a partnership that is going on in its 10th year.
Those were some really great connections between our model of anti-oppressive partnership, solidarity, our leadership practices, and I think all HQ will agree, like these reflections, our hearts are full. These are great. I'm so energized by all of your responses. And with that, 1, thank you, India, for that very in-depth framing, given the work that we all have to put in for a meaningful GROW experience. But let's move in to the concepts that will help us with our training and our events and how we built those out for you guys, and what that looks like with solidarity and our leadership practices in mind. So, as you review the shared Google Doc titled GROW Goals, Guidelines, and Expectations, it was sent in previous emails. It should be sent in the chat again. You'll notice that our events, modules, and timelines all support a training model that emphasizes strengthening relationships. It centers our partners. It emphasizes mutual learning and collaboration, and it emphasizes growth as it pertains to you as an individual, as a member of your group and your GROW team, and as a whole within your partnership. And this will all make it possible to develop strong GROW plans and action tools. And so there will be many different opportunities to practice your skills in preparation for GROW. I'm gonna pass it right back to India. I like cut in, but she's gonna take it away to go into more detail with the specific platforms that we've designed for all of you to practice and build solidarity within your partnership this year, and what that looks like for everyone here in this kickoff.
Thank you, Sarah. Yeah, so the purpose behind the GROW preparation training that you received the email about, and you're like, whoa, look at this long document. It has so much information. The reason why we designed GROW like we did is really to offer a variety of methods for students to open up discussion around important GROW conversations. Again, all grounded in our 3 GROW goals. So if you look at the preparation calendar, you see that we have it broken up for each month or half a month by our 3 GROW goals. And so this involves attending programs to gain new skills, brainstorming together with other students and partners, and individually and collectively discussing concepts with your GROW team. So we also had accessibility in mind, choosing to have all events outside of our live sessions offered twice. So once in the morning and once in the evening, so that at least one GROW team member from your team is able to attend. For our partners, we encourage you to attend our GROW programming, but it is not required. We will, though, have specific partner-only best practice sharing spaces where you can meet with other partners to brainstorm ideas of what the GROW experience will look like. So overall, for our GROW training, we will have 3 live sessions, and again, at least one GROW team member is required to attend with our partner contacts encouraged. We're going to have 3 student and partner best practice sharing spaces where at least one GROW team member is required with our partner contacts, again, encouraged. We will have 3 partner only best practice sharing spaces with our partner contacts encouraged. A total of 10 modules. And this is where all GROW team members will be working together. So hopefully you're meeting weekly or bi-weekly as a team. And during these modules, I hope everyone takes a time for relationship building, because that's so important. Like, relationship building with your partner is high priority and one of our GROW goals, but also equally important is that relationship building amongst your team. And so since we're doing GROW virtually this year, like, it's new, like team dynamics are going to be different because it's not going to be in person. So please take that time during GROW modules, outside of GROW modules, just to get to know one another and hopefully become friends and be able to take this experience with you many years down the road. 10 years, you'll be like, don't you remember we went on GROW back in 2021? So yeah, so hopefully that is the case. And finally, we're going to have 4 GROW coaching calls. So GROW coordinators are required to attend. However, like, if all GROW members can attend, like, that would be wonderful. And again, coaches are open to really guide these coaching calls as needed.
Yeah, so I'll jump back in with a very strong reminder / call to action that registration is key. At least one GROW team member should register and attend specific GROW training events. If you head on over to globmed.org and head to our programs calendar, we have those indicated in red. So you should be able to see when GROW events are coming up, specific trainings, that kind of stuff. And the registration form will be there for you. Just make sure that one person from your team registers.
So now, as Sarah mentioned at the beginning, we get to an exciting part of our GROW Kickoff, which is hearing from the students and partners about, how they're applying the GROW goals in partnership. So now that you have an understanding on how we approach partnership and how our 3 GROW goals ground our preparation training and GROW experience, like I said, we're going to hear from students and partners on how they use these goals in action. So for our session today on Sunday, we will first hear from the University of Illinois at Chicago regarding relationship building with their partner Food and Rural Development Foundation. They have been partnered for over 3 years. We will then hear from the University of Cincinnati regarding mutual learning with their partner Social Action for Children and Women. They have been partnered for over 10 years. And finally, we will hear from Northwestern regarding partnership planning with their partner Adonai. And they have also been partnered for over 10 years. So I am super excited. And now for relationship building, I'm going to toss it over to the University of Illinois.
Hello, I just want to start off by saying thank you to India and Sarah for allowing us to talk about UIC and our partnership with FORUDEF. My name is Vidya. I'm the GROW coordinator for this year. I have 2 interns here with me today, Harini and Clarissa, and they'll talk more about the goals we have this year to improve partnership with FORUDEF. Like India mentioned, FORUDEF stands for Food and Rural Development Foundation. They are located in Boa, Cameroon, and we've been working with them for 4 years now. And any kind of workshop, event, planning, any kind of, like even the internship that we do will be focused around the idea of community health in Cameroon. And they have 3 main sections: nutrition education, HIV/AIDS preventive education, and also access to sanitation facilities. So like we mentioned, any kind of like infographic we make, educational videos, posters. We've been trying to get a pen pal program going too. Anything like that will be focused around this idea. But just a little preface, they are going through a Anglophone crisis right now. So even pre-COVID, before the lockdown happened, we weren't able to go visit them because travel policies were a bit, sticky, and we couldn't essentially risk any kind of travel happening. So we have been fully online, but even so, during the pandemic, we've been able to improve our partnership more than anything. We've been more communicative with our partners and trying to improve. But yeah, now I'll hand it off to Harini and Clarissa, who'll talk a little bit about the goals we have in improving our partnership.
Yeah, so I can start off with our first bullet point here, which is one of our goals is to have constant communication with our partners. Especially with the focus on anti-oppressive partnership, we really want to make sure that we are back and forth with them and really understanding what their needs are rather than what projects we want to do. So that entails a lot of communication, whether it's with Vidya or with our partners themselves through WhatsApp, and we're also having Zoom meetings with them to kind of get to know them better. So that's one of the things we're really focused on.
Yeah, so for the second point, accountability. So I think accountability, I don't want to say it's more important, but it's definitely a different level or a different thing when you're doing things online, just because you're not there in person. So they can't constantly be checking in with you like, hey, like, oh, I'm watching you do this thing, oh, we're working on this thing together. It's more like, especially because we have been virtual for all of our existence as a chapter, we've never been able to go on GROW. A lot of our focus right now is on fundraising. And when it comes to fundraising, we have to make sure that we're actually able to follow through on the money that we said we would be able to raise and on sending that money over. So I think that's something that's like really important, not only for relationship building, but just to keep in mind for virtual GROW, is that, yeah, you have to follow through. You have to be accountable for the things that you say and the things that you do, because as a partner, yeah, they don't need you, but they're expecting you to do these certain things for them because you promised them. So you have to make sure that you're following through and being accountable for your promises, because especially if you're virtual, that's really the only way that your relationship is building. It's not like, oh, the GROW interns are in person and we get to meet to these people and talk to them. We will get to do that. But for most of the year, it's just virtual fundraising and things like that. So I think it's extra important to be accountable and make sure that you're actually following through on the promises you're making. And that kind of goes to the third thing, which is like always be mindful of the basis of your partnership. They're letting us into this partnership. They're not, they don't need us, but they're asking us to be part of it because there's something that we can provide or something that we can, we can be beneficial to them in some way. And that means that we have to make promises to them. And if those promises aren't kept and they made plans around those promises, then that definitely hurts the relationship. So I think that's a big thing that we've learned and that we're going to try to definitely focus in on going forward, is making sure that whatever promises we keep, whatever promises we make, we either keep them or we let people know ahead of time if we can't, because that follow through and that communication is really important, especially for virtual relationship building.
Thank you so much for sharing, UIC. I can tell, like, in your voices, the passion that y'all have behind these steps, and it's amazing to hear. I can make so many comments, but I'm going to let UCincinnati step up and talk about mutual learning.
All right. Hello, everyone. My name is Matthew. I am a director of partnerships at the University of Cincinnati, and I'm here to give a brief overview about our partner, Social Action for Children and Women. We at GlowMed at University of Cincinnati have been partnered with SAW for 10 years now, since 2010. SAW has existed since 2000, and they exist to assist Burmese women and children displaced across the Thai-Burma border. We had a partnerships presentation just tonight at our chapter meeting about the Thai-Burma border and the reasons for the refugee and migrant crisis located where SAW is based. And so they're providing support services in areas of health, education, and safe housing for orphaned children or displaced children there along the border. And then they're also working with GlowMed at UC for the project that we execute called CHOP. This is the Community Health Outreach Program. In this program, SAW trains peer educators that are based in workshops that host workshops with SAW staff in communities of Burmese migrant workers who are living in a region of Thailand called Po Pra. At these workshops, SAW is able to provide education related to family planning, including materials such as contraceptives, and also respond to the needs needed by the community. And the money that GlowMed at UC fundraises is what SAW is able to use to address the needs expressed by each of the communities and by the peer educators and community leaders within those communities. So, like I've been mentioning, GlowMed at UC is the one who has been fundraising. Our goal is $10,000 each year to fund the budget of SAW, but also now with the switch to discretionary funding, SAW uses that money as they need, and now especially is education. They're facing closures and budget shortages with their migrant learning center and the need to let go of teachers. So it's always a challenge with funding, and that's what we're learning through our long partnership with SAW. I'm going to pass it over to Ajit now to talk a little bit more specifically about mutual learning.
Yeah, hi guys. I'm Ajit. I'm the GROW coordinator for the University of Cincinnati this year. I was a virtual GROW intern this past summer, so that was a very interesting experience, but it was cool to hear more about past GROW experiences and current ones and kind of see those connections. So we have a few fun little pictures here. You can see Matthew in the bottom middle enjoying some paste. Matthew, what exactly is that? What is that?
Yeah, good question. So this is Tanaka. It is a paste made from tree bark that you put it on your face and it actually really cools down your face, and it's worn by a lot of people in Myanmar, including the migrants who then live in Thailand. Also, the students who live at SAW compound, those of Burmese nationality will often have this paint worn on their face. And as a gift, it was given to me by the headmaster of the school. And so I was very honored to have received this. And I think it was a prime example of mutual learning, or at least understanding what this meant to them, and for them to also share that with me. I mean, I also have Sachika here with us as well. She was a GROW intern. I'm going to call you in if you see any pictures that you want to react to.
I did make a point not to include Sachika in any pictures because I didn't want to call her out because I knew we'd go over the 5 minutes then. But yeah, these pictures are all like full of different activities. There's one from our GROW team from 3 years ago They're playing cane ball, and that's something we've actually played at the University of Cincinnati as well. Former GROW interns have tried to teach us that. We haven't done very well. Yeah, I said Sanchka can't participate. I stand by it. The pictures on the right are mainly from the calls from the past year. We have English conversations with students at the SAW Learning Center. And this year we kind of done some interview prep and application prep. It's been pretty interesting as they are preparing to transfer into university. It's been a very interesting experience seeing how their experience compares to ours. Okay, Sajka, you can talk now. Go ahead. If these slides are made public after this, feel free to ask us if you have any questions or anything.
Oh, okay. I really like the food in that picture. It was really fun to eat dinner every night with SAW. And they were it was interesting. I feel like in Indian culture, they're always asking you to eat more. And that was definitely mirrored in our staff members at SAW. They would constantly Satya, do you want this? Do you want that? And they learned that I really liked omelet. So towards the end, they always had omelet for me available, which was really sweet.
Thanks, Sajka. But yeah, there's a lot of great examples of mutual learning. I think a prime example of this past road trip was that while we'd have a lot of English conversations with the students virtually, we also made time in each lesson to kind of have them teach us different things about their culture. They did different presentations, and they also taught us words every meeting. They got to choose, so that was very interesting seeing what was chosen, and we learned a lot. So it was pretty fun.
Thank you so much, UCincinnati. Now we will move on to partnership planning with Northwestern. And I know the partners here today. So Aloysius, super excited to hear from this chapter as well. I will pass it over to you all.
Hi, everyone. My name is Josh. I'm one of the GROW coordinators for Northwestern's chapter, and I was a GROW intern last year as well. I'll just provide some quick context about the Adonai Center and Northwestern's partnership with them. And I also want to just thank you to GLOMED HQ for letting us speak today. So predominantly, Adonai provides children left vulnerable by the HIV/AIDS crisis and civil unrest with a home, as Adonai is in part an orphanage. Adonai also provides education through its top-rated school, and they also provide medical care in rural Uganda. Adonai also has a large focus on bettering the community as well by providing medical care as well as safe water and various community development programs. Adonai Medical Center is often cited to be a well-trusted and effective health resource within the community. And the Adonai Center launched its very own Safe Water project that brought safe water to its school and the surrounding community, which has significantly decreased contraction of waterborne diseases and continues to provide a safe and reliable water source. Both of these projects have been in part funded through our collaboration, and we've developed a strong relationship with Adonai and Aloysius, the executive director of the Adonai Center, over the past 9-10 years, which makes communication much more effective. The Adonai Center has always been a main driving force in all of their projects, and I'll pass it on to Samantha, who will be talking more about this collaborative process. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Samantha. I am a first-year GLOBEMed member and GROW member as well, studying global health and sociology. So 100% of what I'm learning is about deconstructing preconceived notions and recontextualizing in history and in society. So I'm going to be talking a little bit about the aspects of solidarity and GlobeMed's 10 leading principles, and the ones that Northwestern's GlobeMed has really attached to and stressed, and that have led, I think, to such a successful partnership. The first being the ability to take a step back and respect what's being said around you. So like we talked about, being needed versus being wanted, understanding that we do not have, again, first, we don't have the expertise. None of us live near Adonai. None of us live anywhere like that. And none of us have ever run an entire organization like Aloysius or any of the other team members there. So understanding that they have been doing this successfully without us, and we are here to help, not take over. And B, understanding that the idea of mutual learning, I think, is really important at Northwestern. We have learning opportunities every chapter. So there's very much a focus on understanding that there is something to learn on both sides. And the focus on what we learn as members is to contextualize and understand why we're in the position that we are, why other places are in the position that they are. And so talking about the politics of another country, history, and general context is really, really important. So overall, the central focus in terms of theory and ethics at Northwestern GlobeMed and through our partnership committee is that of mutual and proactive communication with two-way respect, and then within that and because of that, an understanding of the context society that we are not a part of. And with that, I'm going to Lyra, is going to talk about how that manifests in Northwestern's GlobeMed.
I'll just quickly close this out. I'm Lyra. I'm one of the other GROW coordinators, and I was also a remote GROW intern last summer. And so sort of the way that these ideals have sort of been implemented in our actions over our partnership for the past 10 years has been through the completion of several projects, which Josh talked about. And that was possible through constant and clear communication. We definitely had to, we were definitely challenged by the virtual environment and needing to facilitate effective communication and efficient communication. And so we're very thankful to Facebook Messenger and Zoom for making that possible last summer. And I think something we just strived to always do is making sure that not only were we on the same page with our partner Aloysius and everyone at Adonai, but also amongst all of our interns, having weekly meetings and just making sure that we were all on the same page. And that's really aided in our sustained partnership and also in the realization of all of our goals. And through all of those goals, it was really, really important to us that all the problems and solutions were identified by staff members at the Adonai Center and by Aloysius. And so getting their input and especially last summer when we were writing grants, making sure that they were providing all the information and they were very gracious in answering our many questions. And so we're very thankful to them and thankful for our partnership for the past 10 years.
Hello. Hello, everyone. You can see on the slide right now that there are 3 typical greetings phrases that we use in Uganda. And this, I may have already told some people, but there are over 40 languages spoken in Uganda, many of which are based on the language of indigenous tribes. So on the slide, you see the typical greeting phrases written in the most widespread interethnic vernacular language in Uganda, which is Lugandan, as well as the 2 official languages, Swahili and English. So this is the GlobeMed chapter at Duke University presenting our partners, the Global Health Network in Uganda, located in the Oyem district. We have been partners with this amazing group for 3 years and are looking forward to many more years of dedication. Is there an extra slide to this, or is it just this one slide? Oh, nice, thank you so much. Okay, so next up will be Maddie presenting the 3 key strategies.
Yeah, so today during this brief presentation, we'll be talking about 3 key strategies that have allowed us to maintain a strong relationship over the years. The first and perhaps greatest of our successes is fast, efficient communication. This is best demonstrated by the multitude of platforms, including WhatsApp, that have allowed us to share thoughts and proposals and get responses almost instantaneously. On average, each of our GROW team members respond to notifications within the hour.
Right. Secondly is participation as a team. And though we are divided by time and location, each member of the GROW team understands their place within the context of a well-defined project. So even despite the pandemic last year, GROW team members worked around the clock over Zoom and text to pull together diagrams and tutorials for PPE equipment and hand washing stations. So the result was about 1,700 face masks made within the local community to help prevent the spread of COVID. Next up will be Sophie presenting our activity.
Last but not least has been our consistent efforts to strengthen the framework upon which we stand. So our key goal has always been to prioritize the community's needs. However, the methods we have employed continue to change and adapt. Together with Dr. Achura, we've been working to incorporate new lines of communication between GlobeMed and GHNU in order to advance the speed at which we work and the production that results. For the summer of 2021, we will be incorporating this new strategy as we search for grants and help fund the network.
Do you mind pausing right quick? I know that Dr. Achura is here with us today. If he wants to add anything, you are welcome to at this time.
Sorry, just to interject really quickly. Unfortunately, Dr. Achura had a brief meeting, and this was mostly just a time error on our part, but he had to leave the meeting. But I can help summarize a few of the points he made before, as we have met with him the week before. So Dr. Achura is our primary contact with GHNU alongside Winnie, Gerald, and Babu, and he has worked passionately with us to help us prioritize and understand the challenges that we face as a team. His mission is dedicated to good leadership that allows the rights of the people to dictate the policies of health. And today, Dr. Achura, he would be briefly sharing his thoughts on the best part of GlobeMed's partnership with GHNU. As of right now, I can just summarize what he has said, but mainly he says the key part of maintaining a strong relationship is strong communication. So we have a very solid foundation of communication where, as we have said before, we work on multiple platforms and we work instantaneous responses into as much of our practice as possible. And so overall, the results have definitely led to a great number of results and productivity. So we have been able to really increase our efficiency. And with the help of Winnie, Gerald, and Babu, who will be the new part of our new addition to the GHNU team, we will also be increasing it by threefold. It's just a lot of work goes into making sure we communicate properly what the goals are, as well as what we need by this deadline. And for example, we are currently working on grants and trying to pull together a proposal for that. And that's the majority of all the benefits that have resulted. So in conclusion, this will be it from the GROW team at Duke. Thank you so much for listening, everyone.
Thank you so much. That was so amazing to hear from all of you, your excitement, your enthusiasm, and also get that summary from Dr. Achura. And thank you also for letting us know he had to step away this time. All right. And if you didn't already see in the chat, Christine dropped in a blog with Dr. Achura. So if you're curious to learn more, you can click there. So now we will pass it on to UTSA. So when y'all are ready, you can unmute yourself.
Hi, everyone. My name is Tina Phillip. My pronouns are she, her. And I'm from UTSA, and with me I have another GlobeMed member, and I'll let her introduce her as well before we move on.
Hello, my name is Natalie Bergonio, and my pronouns are she, her.
Yeah, so we are from UTSA, and our partner is Sacred Valley Health, and they're located in Peru. And so as we're talking about mutual learning, recently our GROW interns met with our chapter coach, and one of the things we talked about was how we can implement an anti-oppression partnership. And as our discussion went along, one of the ideas was to be receptive or to be open-minded. After some reflection, I realized that UTSA currently has a strong partnership with Sacred Valley Health because of our willingness to be receptive of one another's opinions and ideas. Our chapter has been in contact regularly with our outreach manager, Lorena, who is in Peru. And as of now, Lorena's team and our e-board members have worked together to come up with a tentative project list that we would love to bring to action during our summer GROW experience. And so some of these projects were simply ideas in the beginning that we were just bouncing off of each other. For example, one of the ideas was to come up with a way where the interns and the Sacred Valley Health staff members could share their cultures with one another through the virtual platform. And both parties were very receptive of the idea, which fostered an effective discussion. And because of our open-minded discussion, we plan to create a pen pal program in a video format to accomplish this. And the biggest takeaway from this, I think, is that our chapter has seen first-handedly the advantage of having an open-minded discussion with people of different cultures, and have realized like that could bring so much monumental impact on our overall project. So now I'll pass it on to Natalie.
Yeah, so basically what we are hoping to gain from our GROW internship would be to get to know our partner more better through the pen pal videos, and for sure improve or gain more professional development skills through doing research projects or a proposal or brief, and also doing grant writing. So basically just having an overall mutualistic learning relationship.
Thank you so much for going into that with the mutual learning piece and your relationship with your partner. Now we will have our final chapter present on partnership planning. So Northeastern, I will toss it over to you.
Hello, my name is Victoria. I'm from the Northeastern GLOBEMed chapter, and we're partnered with the Twesiga Mukama Federation in Masaka, Uganda. So I'll start out with a little timeline of our partnership. So we started out in 2010, and we were partnered with the Kitovu Mobile Company. And then our first GROW trip was in 2012. And we started the WASH initiative with Kitovu Mobile in 2013, which is the sanitation and our sanitation and health initiative. And we also in 2019 re-partnered from Kitovu Mobile to the Twesiga Mukama Federation. So the Twesiga Mukama Federation came out of Kitovu Mobile, but it's recently become self-sufficient enough to become its own organization. And so what we focus on, we started taking a more holistic approach to our partnership, where we now work with small cluster organizations and self-help groups in the local communities. Then, is there another slide? Oh yeah, thank you. And so with goal setting and the reflections, one thing that's really important is how our partnership has changed and how it's become more actively anti-oppressive. For example, everyone in the community has a voice, especially women leaders in the community, which before wasn't very common. And the community members have a lot more of a say too. For example, they get to vote and choose on who's the project officer, what projects they want to do next, and they just have a lot more autonomy than they did under Kitovu Mobile. And so now we've gotten rid of all that overhead of some other company making decisions for the communities. And we also, like I mentioned, use a community approach with the self-help groups, and it allows the people in the communities that live in the communities to decide for themselves what is best. And yeah.